on time, on budget as promised. Well, in a normal year, we're getting closer to what I think normal is, if we ever get back to normal. But this is our opportunity. We call it our Super Bowl, and it really is our opportunity to showcase what we're doing, the latest and greatest. Unfortunately, this year we didn't have any latest and greatest product available to put in the show. We've certainly got plenty of it in the facility back home where we manufacture. And but we've got a couple of brokerage boats in the show here. They're a few years older, but certainly showcase one of the great things is how they've held up. For as long as I've been here, the model has been to build boats on spec, start everything on spec. We sit down, we kind of project out for the next couple of years what ideally we see the market absorbing. We don't always get it right. Sometimes we change it in that time, but we'll build that same number of boats. And the idea is to have steady workflow, steady material flow, and that's a real challenge today with what's happened with the supply chain. So we've had to kind of tweak that model for builds because the typical just-in-time mentality that we've used for material flow doesn't work. There's such long lead times that we never anticipated, and so we've had to modify that quite a bit to keep the plant rolling. These things go all over the world, and we want them to, but at the same time, they need service, so we like predictability. We don't jump around on brands of equipment on board. We want long-term relationships. I mean, I've been here 23 years. We've only put, Northern Lights generators in, for example. We don't change a brand unless the brand changes it for us. Either they change hands or they drop, equipment that, or there's problems with the equipment that we can't solve. To be able to keep it operating. It's a sophisticated machine, and things do go wrong, and what you do about it is really what matters. And so by having a real consistent supply or supplier, we know if there's a glitch, we know what we need to take. We can ship it to the boat, we can fly to the boat, we can do whatever we need to do to get there and get it back up and running. And we feel that we make choices in what goes in the boat based upon our successes in the past. I mean, like anything, you work hard at it, but if you build consistency into what you are making and you build a team around that, it makes it pretty easy to achieve. I'm not saying we don't make mistakes. Unfortunately, we do. But again, we try to iron those out long before the boat's delivered. If we miss sometimes we have to chase it down. But for the most part, that's how we keep the consistency. During the pandemic, we shut down and we had 4 boats sold on the production line, and we had to, first time ever, been at this my whole life, first time ever, we had to formally use the clause in our contract of force majeure. And some of the boats were affected just a couple of months, some of them were longer than that. It just depended on where they were when we were shut down. But the focus was when we turned the lights back on, everything, all hands on the contract boats, the spec boats were set aside. And so we powered through that. We've now cleaned up all of those, and now we're back we've got 2 new builds that are in the plant back in Washington, and we have 2 spec boats that are underway in Washington. And so we're just slowly ramping back up. Unfortunately, I wish we had flipped the switch earlier, but again, not knowing where we were headed with the pandemic, it was a little bit, too much uncertainty. On time, on budget as promised, and that's drilled into everybody at the factory. And so that's what we strive for. That's what we stand for, and do everything we can to meet that.